Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the long awaited remake of the 1984 film, The Toxic Avenger. In this version, Peter Dinklage stars as Toxie himself alongside Jason Tremblay, Taylor Page, and Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon, who appear in this film as well. And this is the fifth installment in the Toxic Avenger franchise. And I didn't realize that. I didn't know that until I was going in to watch this movie. I only think it's been five of them. I remember watching the first one in 1984. Well, to be honest, I didn't watch it in 1984. It was some time before I actually saw it. But nonetheless, I remember watching it back in the day, and I thought it was all right, but I wasn't a huge Toxie fan. I remember the cartoon. They actually had a Saturday morning cartoon for the Toxic Avenger. And if you watched the original Toxic Avenger, you would sit back and wonder why they made a Sunday or a Saturday morning cartoon for this movie, but back in the 80s and the 90s, they made Saturday morning cartoons about everything. They had a Saturday morning cartoon about Rambo, and it was nothing kid friendly about Rambo. RoboCop and all that. This was for kids. In the movies, there's no way the kids can watch the movies. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. This film that stars Peter Dinklage as Toxie, is set in a fantasy world, and the film follows a janitor named Wilson, played by Peter Dinklage, after a freak accident transforms into a mutant vigilante known as Toxie. Armed with his mop, the unlikely hero battles freaks, gangsters, and corrupt CEOs while trying to save the relationship with his stepson. This is this is a film that was pushed back multiple times. I think they made this movie like in 2022 or 23, somewhere like that. This movie been finished. They've been had this in the can, but couldn't find a studio that would back it or distribute it and whatnot. And they finally got something going this year in 25. So good on them for that. But I can see why they had trouble finding distribution for this film because it's not your typical superhero movie, even though it's a superhero movie. But it's not your typical superhero movie. It's definitely not the Avengers, even though Avengers is in the title, but this is a different Avenger. This movie is stupid, it's dumb, it's campy, and it doesn't make any sense plot-wise. But I loved every minute of it. For some this movie did what it was supposed to do. All that was done on purpose. This was not aiming to challenge Sinners for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. This movie was made to be what it is, a Toxic Avenger film. It is gory. It is, it is funny. It is campy and cheesy and everything that I remember from the 1984 film and 80s films in particular, especially the campy little 80s films that people of a certain age grew up on. Those movies that you found in the back of the video store just buried, and you took a chance on it because you saw everything else and you were entertained by it. This is one of those movies. This is one of those movies that is not on the forefront. Is nothing that you're beat down the store when it's released on physical media or whatever to get your copy, if that was a thing or still a thing today. Not something that you would hurry up, order a pizza. You definitely can't eat while watching this movie. I would highly recommend you don't eat while watching this movie. It is disgusting. But this is one of those movies that you just watch late on a Saturday night, Friday night, nothing to do, and you want to lay back and chill and just pop on a good little funny movie. This movie was hilarious. This is one of the funniest movies of 2025. And I wasn't expecting it. I'm talking laugh out loud funny. There were parts in here I was literally just dying. I wasn't expecting this film to be that funny. Yeah, I was expecting it to be cheesy, kind of. You probably laugh under your breath type stuff. You get the little passive aggressive jokes and stuff like that. No, this was just downright funny. I mean, laugh out loud funny for a certain audience. Now, this isn't for everybody. Clearly, this is not for everybody. If you're a fan of comedies, I wouldn't say, I'm talking mainstream comedies. This isn't that type of comedy. It is more of a niche thing. You have to be into the style of comedy that this movie is putting out. And luckily for me, it clicked all of my switches. I was all in on all of the jokes throughout this film. Peter Dinklage, man, protect that man at all costs, bro. This dude is phenomenal. I love Peter Dinklage in every single thing he does, and this was no exception. I didn't know. Picture this. I didn't know going into this film that he was the lead in this movie. To be honest with you, I didn't know who was in this movie. I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't seen anything in regards to it. I just saw that it was out, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this. I wanted to check this out," because I watched the original. I want to check out the remake and see if there's anything new, innovative that they were going to try with this remake. And so when I started watching it, I was like, man, that's Peter Dinklage. He's the star. Kevin Bacon is in this thing. What? It's just weird. And you can tell that this movie was made a few years ago because not Jason, but Jacob Tremblay is in this movie. Jacob Tremblay, you may know from The Room with Brie Larson, where she won her Academy Award. He plays the son, the little boy in that. He was also in that movie, was it Good Boys? The little comedy that came out a few years back. He was in that. But in this, you could tell that this was a little older because he's older now. I think he's about, 20 or pushing 20? And he's playing like a middle school kid in this movie. So he is, this was definitely an older film. At least it was filmed a while back. But it didn't matter. I was shocked by who all was in this cast. But it was worth it, man, because not knowing anything going into it, I think helped me appreciate it more. I enjoyed it more, probably more than I should have. I probably regret watching it later on, but right now I did like it. And now the movie, of course, isn't perfect. This is under any other spectrum. This is a horrible movie, horrible. And if somebody was to tell me that it was horrible, come and argue their points as to why they think it was horrible, I would not debate you. I would not go back and forth with you because I probably would agree. Nothing about this movie should be good. And to be honest, none of it is, but it's not meant to be. It's more of an artistic approach to stupidity. And I know that's more of an oxymoron, but for some strange reason, this movie worked for me. It really did, because I respect movies that know what they are and lean into it. I can't stand watching a movie that tries to be serious. It is not. The material does not scream a serious movie or a deep philosophical film when it's set in a silly world. That doesn't work for me. and vice versa. A film that tries to be funny when it needs to be serious, I can't stand that. I can't stand watching movies like that. I know, yes, films need to break levity if it's a hard topic. I'm all on board with that. Nobody wants to sit down for 90 minutes to 2 hours in a depressing movie with no levity. I get all that. But not taking the subject matter seriously is not my cup of tea. But this movie, there is no serious subject here. There's nothing here that screams social injustice or civil rights movement or anything like that. It's nothing serious like that. It's just a dumb, fun movie. And sometimes we need that in life. And I needed it at this point. It caught me at the right time. Now, full disclosure, if I would have watched this movie 2 weeks earlier, I would probably put it at the worst of the year type list. But the fact that I needed a laugh because I've been going through something and I just needed a laugh, and this movie came along and delivered for me. It was like it was sent by God himself. Like, here you go, chuckle at this. Because I don't know why God would send me a movie where people getting decapitated with a toxic sludge soap mop. But what's the saying? God works in mysterious ways. But this movie worked for me. Funny, entertaining. Never got bored with it. It was just a good watch, and that's all you can ask for in a film like this. The Toxic Avenger gets a letter grade of a C. Yeah, I mean, I gotta give it average. It was good. It was good enough for me. I'll put it that way. And this is coming from somebody who isn't a Toxie fanatic. You know, I can't compare it to the other films because I wasn't connected to those movies like that. Now, I know is a huge fan base for this character, and I don't know what their reactions would be for this film, but me personally, hey, like I said, if you say that this was a horrible version of that, I'm not gonna argue with you. If you feel this is the dumbest thing you ever saw in your life, not gonna argue with you. But if you were on board with me and just felt it was just a good sit down chuckle movie, you definitely not going to get an argument from me. But I would like to know your thoughts about the Toxic Avenger. Did you watch the other 4 films in this franchise? I only watched 2 that I can recall. But I want to know, what is your fandom like when it comes to the Toxic Avenger? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you're currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of the Toxic Avenger. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.